Hi, welcome back to Data Crunch, and today we're going to talk a bit about data storytelling. So again, we have Dr. Lau here, Chief Data Scientist and also founder of Lead. And yeah, so data storytelling, right? Data storytelling is something that is in data science, and storytelling is used to be so ingrained in our lives as kids, probably because our parents have told us stories when we're going to sleep and things like that, right? But today we're going to talk a bit about data storytelling. So how do we talk about storytelling when it comes to business, organization, and also big data? All right, so Dr. Lau,
Yes.
can you explain to us what data storytelling is?
Okay, so before this, let me ask you a quick question. Reuben, have you ever heard about something that people talk about? A kid or a teen in China, right? And then he sell one of his kidneys in order just to buy a phone, just to buy the iPhone.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. You never heard of this, right? I'm sure that after today, after I told you this story, you leave some quite a deep impression in your mind. Yeah. So that's the power of telling a story. So storytelling is actually all about communicating effectively with data and solving business problems, especially in data science. So in other words, is data plays an important role in solving business problem, and you can only achieve that by telling an appealing story.
So you're saying that the kid sold his kidneys
Yeah.
for an iPhone. Is that a true story or not?
Yeah, that's a true story. So it happens in China. Anything happens in China anyway. So what happened is that data is always hard and cold, right? If I were to tell you this in a very boring way, and you won't be able to remember it. So gone are the days that you remember numbers very effectively. Like, do you still remember your house phone number or your mom's mobile number, for example, or you just pull out your phone and
With our phones today, nobody really remembers any
yeah,
phone
what if
numbers anymore.
you run out of battery? Yeah,
Right,
then you
right.
need to call your mom or you need to call home, right? So usually a data scientist, we still, some of us, we still present data for credibilities, especially for research and study purposes. But then in order to get your message across and then to get people to remember what you have told them and eventually take the actions that you want them to, I think you need stories.
Right. So that's to say, if I were to tell a piece of information to someone, he or she would have forgotten it in the next 7 or 8 seconds, right? But if I convey that information in the form of a story, then he or she would remember it for the rest of his life, maybe.
Yep, that's right.
Right. So when it comes to business, when it comes to data science, is it a must in every organization to actually do data storytelling in your line of work as a data scientist?
I think this question, the short answer is yes. For 1,000 years, storytelling has been an integral part of our humanity. That's when, when it's at the Stone Age, people has been passing down their knowledge, their wisdom by using stories. And that's before we have words or even we have voice recorders. So recently I pitched to Post Malaysia for the data analytics platform projects. And one of the questions that really got me remembered until today is that they asked me, like, Dr. Lau, must we really use bar chart to display information? So I guess people are numb by seeing numbers and even bar charts as a visualization tool, right? So in order to be creative, and then I would say try different types of visualization that helps you to tell a different story.
So as a data scientist, if I'm working in a company,
Yep.
creating bar charts and all that kind of thing, how often would I find myself doing storytelling and telling the layman people about what I found or what I've the data I mine and research on? How
Yeah.
often would I do it?
I would say you should do that all the time. Because for most people, crafting a story around the data it seems something that's unnecessary and very time consuming. They may feel that, hey, I'm already giving you the numbers. I presented you the insights or the facts that it should be sufficient to stand on its own, and you should be the one that's responsible to interpret whatever you want to interpret from those numbers. And as long as I'm reporting those things in a clear and at least in an honest manner, that's what most people think, lah.
But there are bound to be people or data scientists who do not do storytelling at all. They skip the whole part and they just present the information like that, right? So if I'm someone like that, I don't like to tell stories, I don't like to talk that much. Can I skip storytelling, or is it a must to do it?
It's like, you can argue lah, yeah, the insight itself should be influence the right decisions and then drive the audience to act accordingly. But I think that's people like they take things for granted. That means they delegate the responsibility to you. So that shouldn't be something. That's something not right to do. And unfortunately, this point of view is based on the very flawed assumptions that business decisions are always based solely on logics and reasons. But as we know, humans always make decisions based on their emotions only, right? Yeah, and then only you start to reasoning out with all sort of logics that's filling out, and then make sure that to support the decisions that you are making.
All right. So we're going to go for a break right now, and we come back, we're going to show you some examples in data storytelling. Stay tuned.
How Dr. Lau's teaching is actually helps easy understanding using a lot of use case where you're able to apply in work easily.
How this course has helped me is really given me a good overview, an appreciation of the complexities of development, and that it's not something you get done overnight.
I really like their teaching because it's very effective and you really learn a lot of real-world use cases.
Welcome back to Data Crunch. Now we're going to talk a bit about data storytelling in real life. All right, we're going to talk about some examples and how people are doing it in real life, real businesses, real organizations. All right, so Dr. Lau, can you show us some examples when it comes to data storytelling, and what are some key elements when it comes to data storytelling?
Okay, Reuben, have you heard about Titanic?
Of course.
Okay, yeah. So if I'm telling you, 19.2% of the males survive in Titanic, okay? 81.8% of the females survive. Okay. Now, out of the 18.2% of the male, right, 32% of them are actually from they bought the first class ticket. And then another 16% of them, they bought the second class ticket, and the rest of them are actually from the ticket 3 or the third class. All right, and then most of them, they are actually from Cherbourg, Queenstown, and Southampton.
Okay.
All right. So now, can you just repeat to me what I've just told you, and then what have you learned from those numbers?
No, can't.
Okay, so the reason behind is that that's what data storytelling comes into place, or at least we talk about visualization. Okay, so if you look at the chart here, right, it gives you a very nice visualization about, all right, from just take a look at it at one glance, you're able to tell, okay, not only how much or what is the exact number of percent of male and female who have survived or who did not survive. You can also look at the differences. You can look at the scale, and also you can look at the average survivor per gender, their social class, and then look at the effects of fares, etc. Okay, so how does it affect the survivor of Titanic?
Okay.
And also, if you look at another example and things like in HR, okay, I use this example a lot when teaching in data science certifications. Now, by using this sort of visualization, you can easily tell that what are the factors that affect their staff member to leave or to check their attrition rate for HR. Is that because of the salary? Is that because of the departments that they are working in? Is that because of the number of projects they're handling? So there are all sort of things that can help you just by using visualization to tell an appealing story. And not just that, and based on those things, we can come up with some sort of like suggestions, or we can write in a report to the management to say that, all right, employees generally feel that they are underworked and that's why they are leaving. So what you can do is to increase their number of projects count so that they feel more valuable and making contributions to the company, for examples. Or we can say that employees that had generally 4 or 5 years of experience at the company should be taken into account for high turnover rate, especially for those who are coming from sales department, for example. And then from there, it can be a very good starting point to explore your data and also zoom into it to find out what are the different things that affect your organizations, for example.
Oh, okay. I mean, that seems very elaborate, and there's a lot of things to take in. But I'm sure there's also key elements in data science. I mean, in data storytelling.
Yeah.
Right. So, for me to start telling stories in data, so what are the few key elements that I need to know and to map around the idea around telling stories?
Yep. So just like stories, right? A data story is definitely the one that triggers your emotion as well. Now, I would say data, narratives, and also the visuals, they work together. So when they work together, they engage, they explain, and most importantly, they enlighten your audience so that you get your message across. That's number one thing that you want to achieve. And you want them to make the changes or essentially take the actions that you want them to.
All right. So I'm sure most of our audience here would want to know or get some tips about data storytelling, especially those who have just gone into a job as a data scientist. So what are some tips that you can give, aspiring data scientists when it comes to data storytelling?
Sure. Just let me share a few quick ones. Yeah.
Right.
Number one is a bit of cliche. A picture speaks 1,000 words. So make sure that your picture really speaks 1,000 words. Yeah, not just a few words or 10 words or 100 words. Make sure that it really speaks 1,000 words. Now, although a picture speaks 1,000 words, but you have to put some labels as well. So some people, when it comes to things like title, captions, and then labeling, they're very, very stingy. They're very scared because they're probably high school or uni lecturers told them that everything has to be short and concise when you're drawing charts. But actually, that's not the case. So make sure that you label everything and don't make your audience guess. Yeah, the good things about visualization and data storytelling is that you want to make sure that they look at the things, they straightaway get the message and get the picture, big picture that you want them to. And also using the right scale and axis. And for example, time series is always the time is on the x-axis and then the value on the y-axis. And I would say, don't be afraid to get creative. So you're from the creative industry. So send a bold message. And if a chart does that, remember that the data doesn't lie. So if a chart is to send a very bold message to the audience, let the chart does its job, right? So data doesn't lie, and human does. Yeah. So here are some of the things.
Right. Okay. So I think that we've prepared also one more chart for people to refer to when it comes to data storytelling. So there are so many types of data in the world. So when it comes to telling a story about the data that you just mine, you just analyze, so where do we start? Where do we map out the thinking or the idea from that? Right.
Sure.
So can you explain to us the chart that we have actually prepared and how do we use it?
Okay, actually no, I'm not going to explain to you in details. The reason why is this chart is very detailed. So like I say, right, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So by looking at the chart itself, you actually know how to utilize this chart already. So if you have any further questions, feel free to leave it in the comment and then we'll get back to you. But if you look at the chart, on your left hand side is a relationship distribution. So based on your data types and then what sort of comparisons that you are making, it helps you to pick the right chart that you want to. So that I think my number one thing, if I were to say something, is don't try to avoid pie chart if possible. Yeah.
Pie chart.
Yeah, pie chart is the one that makes you hungry eating a pizza.
Okay. So guys, if you want this chart here, this picture right here, we can send it to you in high quality. Just comment yes in the comment section below and we'll send you the whole HQ, high quality of this chart here. All right. So I guess that ends our session for Data Crunch today. Make sure to like us on our Facebook, follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us, and anything else to add, Dr. Lau?
That's it. So I hope that from now on, everyone, when you look at numbers, try to think of it in a very interesting way and then help your audience to look at it from different perspectives. So a lot of time data scientists make this mistake. It's like, hey, I'm going to tell you a story. Don't tell them a story. Yeah. Don't tell them that you are going to tell them a story. Just tell them the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what are your biggest data science problems or questions that you have? Leave them in the comment section below and we'll see you in the next Data Crunch series. See you.
See ya.